Well, mourners are expected to gather at Cape Town St. George's Cathedral to pay their respects to the late Archbishop throughout this morning, throughout today, throughout tomorrow as well. We're live to Tula Sizwe Simelane in a few minutes from now. He and our team are down there as we continue our build-up to the final farewell of the Arch. But how do we even begin to reflect on the life, the influence and the legacy of the Arch? Well, let's try and do that with Bishop Paul Verryn of the Methodist Church of Southern Africa. Bishop, good morning to you. My condolences to you on the loss of the Arch, a man I know that had an influence on many people of various churches around the country and around the world. How are you doing, and what's your fondest memory of the Arch?
Thank you, and good morning. I think that an indelible legacy that he has left is that he was determined to make sure that the other was included. Where society might have every good reason to want to reject and vilify the other, he would be determined to make sure that the other would be included in the sphere of belonging. And his engagement as a human being with other people was quite astonishing. I was told a story this week by a minister who was new in the ministry and happened to be in one of these auspicious gatherings, and Bishop Tutu was present. And she stood very much on the edge of the crowd and didn't quite know where to fit in, and he spotted her and left where everybody was humming around him and went directly and engaged with her. And in that instance, she was included. So he did that with his determination to destroy apartheid, which of course we're all still struggling with, number one. And he has done that with people who have been victimized because of their sexual orientation. He's done that with people who have been suffering because of a forced removal. He's done that when an impimpi has been on the brink of being necklaced. And of course, he's done that with regard to foreign nationals. And many of these dimensions of our communal life are still a challenge to us. The second thing is that he refused to operate in silos. So his relationship with God involved economics, it involved politics, it involved education, it involved health. He crossed over the comfortable boundaries that we put around ourselves in society, and as he penetrated them, opened up a completely new way of us being able to interview and explain our context.
When last, Bishop, did you have any contact with the Arch, either over a telephone, in person? Are you able to talk to us about the last time you saw your friend?
Yes, it actually was in 2015, and it was in Cape Town, and it was at the Cathedral. And Di Oliver had organized for me to meet with him. The Church Unity Commission had mandated me to begin a process of ongoing hearings around the country. And so I went to speak to him about that, in a way to try and continue some of the work of the TRC.
Is that the legacy you think that perhaps most South Africans are going to remember the good Arch for? Everyone I've spoken to always does come back, obviously they do, to the TRC as well. Do you think that was one of his proudest contributions in his life?
I think his determination to bring healing to broken relationships was intricate and as you know, very complex. Bringing enemies into a place of confronting what has hurt one another, first of all, and secondly then to broker forgiveness is certainly one of the most incredible gifts that obviously comes from his faith. I think the TRC was an incredible miracle that happened, particularly considering the size of the task and the size of the pain that was in South Africa at the time. And to think that in about 18 months, they reached into all of South Africa and enabled people who had profound pain to be able to speak about that, and in speaking of their pain, to validate themselves as human beings. So it certainly was one of the things. I think he's determined and sometimes extremely impertinent confrontation of power and people in power was another unique gift. He was completely unafraid to confront the monolith of what was in place in South Africa, in security forces, in the president, and he has been prepared to do that to other leaders in nations, and he has been prepared to continue to do it after our liberation.